Once the saving is done, next part is to design the remaining part of the building. For instance, we are going to be designing the Bandra Ohm building on top of the base that we just created. So we need a canvas or the picture of the Bandra Ohm building. In order to get that, you either go to this link on your book or you have to scan this QR and then you'll have to open the link to get the file. I already have the file downloaded, so we'll start away with it. Now the next step, we go back to Fusion. Now we have our base ready and these are the coordinates X, Y, and then Z. So let's start. Let's go to the sketch. Then we go to the line and then we choose the front plane. We need to have the front plane over here. Yeah, so we click on the front and then we choose this particular plane, which is XY. So we click on the plane and the next part is to draw the construction line. So we choose on the construction and then can you see the center point over here? So we click over here and go up about 137.5 millimeter. Okay, that's the length of the construction line that we need. And make sure your angle is at 90 degrees, as you can see here. So the height is 137.5 and the angle should be 90 degrees, and then you press enter. So your construction line is ready. If this particular measurement given over here is actually distracting your view, you can click on the length or the dimension and then drag it onto the side. Once you have the center line created, next part is to create 2 points on this side as well as on this side. So let's do that now. Go to sketch, choose the option called point, and since we already have our plane selected, which is XY, let's click the point somewhere over here. When you click the point, make sure you don't click where you find the triangle. So let's click somewhere outside and then over here. And the next point over here, as I said earlier, not on the triangle, but somewhere different. So we have the 2 points ready. Now press the escape and then right click on the point that you just created, go to sketch and then sketch dimension. So once the point is selected, it will be blue in color, and now you select the center line. Now you can get the dimensions. So click anywhere along and then type 52 millimeter. So this point is 52 millimeter from the center line. Similarly, we will be doing for the same on the other side. So we click on it and then we have the dimension. Click somewhere, type 52 millimeter. So we have both the points 52 millimeter from the center line. Then you press escape. Now we have to input or insert the picture of the Bandra Ohm building. So that for doing that, you have to first download from the QR code, as I said earlier, and in the Fusion you will be going to insert attached canvas and then click the face where you want to put your picture. So let's choose the XY plane and then we click on select image and we have to choose this Bandra Ohm building. This is the file that we are using for sketching the points for the Bandra Ohm building. So let's choose this, click on open, and then you can increase the canvas opacity so that it's much clearer. It's up to you guys. I'm going to put it at 75, and I'll be bringing my picture up in a way it's at the bottom. It's at the top face of the page. So I have my picture over there and then I click OK. Now my picture is over here and it's not clear, right? So let me try to get it much clearer. So I go to canvas, right click on the background canvas, edit canvas, and then increase opacity to be 75. Yeah, then I click OK. So it's much clearer now. Next part is to calibrate it. So similarly, right click on the Bandra in canvas, right click on the Bandra Ohm canvas, click on calibrate, go to the bottom part, yeah, and then you will be clicking at the bottom of the building and then on top. So the calibration would be 114 millimeter. So your picture is much bigger. Now we'll have to move it up in a way that this bottom part is on top of the base. So let's do that. Right click on the Bandra Ohm canvas inside the canvas, then click edit canvas. Then you will have to move the picture according to your need. So we have it here and we have to move it a bit further up. So for that 50, 55, since it's a bit down, I will be typing it to be 52. Yeah, or let's put a 51. Yeah, I think it should be fine. So I put at 51. It's a bit inside still, but it's okay. So I click on OK now. So I have the canvas ready. Now can you see the edge of the building? This should be on the line. So for that, let's click on edit canvas again. And can you see there is an arrow towards the right? On above that there is a small line. So let's click on that and try to enlarge it or widen it. So by doing it, you get to increase the width of the picture, and then if you look here, the edge is at the point, so that's what we need. Then we click on the OK. So far we have done editing the size of the picture. Next part, we would be clicking or adding points along the line of the building. In order to do that, first we'll have to go to sketch, line, and then we would be clicking on this particular point until we have this line straight, so which is over here. So I have got my line there. Then I click on this tick mark. Once that's done, we don't need this dimension anymore, so we can press on the escape in the keyboard and then click on this and click delete. Similarly, we can do it over here. So I have my line done over here, as I said earlier. This shouldn't be construction, so I changed it because I had chosen the line to be construction before. But our line over here should not be a construction line, so I click on this and then I untick this one or unselect that one, so it becomes a normal line. And once that's done, go to sketch and then point. So we would be creating points along this curve until we reach the top point. So one thing you should keep in mind is that the more point you have, the more accurate your design will be. So let's start adding the points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. I know it's a bit time consuming, but it's always better to have your design in an accurate shape rather than having it in a distorted manner. So for that, we'll be choosing the points as much as possible. So almost done, and then last I click over here. So I've got my points done. Now next part would be to create spline along the points that we just created on this picture. In order to get it done, let's go to sketch, spline, fit point spline. So let's start by clicking at the first point over here on the line. Then we click along the points, each and every point. So we have got it done. Then I click on the tick mark over here So I've created spline along the points that I created. Now I can click on the stop sketch. So I've got my points created, the spline, everything is done. Next part, we would be going back to the home. Now let's click on sketch, rectangle, center rectangle. We would be choosing the top face, not any of the planes over here, but on the top of the base we have to select the top of the base, and then we have to create a rectangle which is about 40 millimeter wide and 50 millimeter high, or length of the rectangle should be 50 millimeter, width of the rectangle should be 40 millimeter. Let's start doing that. I click somewhere along this point over here, and then I would type the width to be 40 and the length to be 50. Yeah, so that's done. So one thing you have to make sure about the rectangle is that the right side should be on the center of the top base. Okay, this particular line over here should be along this green line, which is the center. Okay, in order to get that in our design, if you look closely, we have this is from this point it's 5, 10, 15, 20. So when you choose the rectangle, make sure it's at 20 millimeter from the green line, and then choose the center. So you will have 20 here, 20 here, which is total of 40. Yeah, and then you can have this 50 over here. So we have created our rectangle. Next part, we would be creating an arc around this part. So in order to get it done, go to sketch, arc, 3-point arc. Okay, so to get it done, let's click on the side edge of this one over here and the other edge or other point. So we have it done. Now we will be clicking on the last point. Yeah, we'll be look over here how many points we have created. We'll be clicking on the last point that we have so far. So that's right here. So I've got the arc done. Now I press escape on the keyboard. Next part is to trim this particular line, so this whole rectangle is joined or merged with the arc. In order to get it done, go to sketch, trim, and then choose this line. So once that's done, the rectangle and the arc becomes one shape. Once you are done creating the shape, now let's click on the home button. Let's go to create, sweep. Okay, and then we will be choosing the profile to be this particular shape or the rectangle arc merged shape that we just created, and then we would be choosing the type to be single path, and the path should be the lines that we sketched earlier. Can you see this line and the points? We click on that, and then we would have the operation to be parallel instead of perpendicular, and then operation should be new body. Yeah, so single path, the profile will be this one, the shape over here, the path would be the points that we created, orientation would be parallel, and then operation should be new body. Yeah, then once everything is done, click on OK, and then let's go to the front face now. So we have our shape created over here. Now next part, we'll have to split the body because we don't need this particular shape over here, the pointy shape. So in order to get it done, let's go to modify and then split body right here. Yeah, so what is the body that we are going to split? So body to split, we choose this particular shape that we just did, and then for splitting tool we would be choosing the plane, which is the YZ plane on this side. Yeah, so we have to choose this plane so it's split at that particular point or particular origin. So let's click on OK now. So now we can actually hide the canvas if you need. So let's hide it. Click on this bulb over here. So we have the shape split into two different bodies. Now in order to remove it or hide it, what we can do is we click on this particular shape and then right click, show hide, click on it. So the shape is gone. It's not there anymore. It's hidden. Now we will have to mirror this particular part of this body onto the other side. We have so that we have a complete figure. So to do that, let's go to create mirror. So pattern type should be body. So we choose this body and then rotate a bit and then click mirror plane to be this particular plane over here and then click OK. So we have our shape mirrored. Yeah. Now next part, we'll have to project a sketch of this front face on at a distance from this front face of this Bandra Ohm building. To get it done, let's go to the sketch option and then click on create sketch. Now we would be choosing this face of the base. Now once it's done, we will go to sketch, project. Now once we go to the sketch, we would be going to select project include and then click on the project. So next part is to choose this face and then make sure the selection filter is specified entities and then rotate a bit and see the face that we selected is actually projected towards the front face of the base that we selected earlier. Now click on OK. So that particular face is projected to the front. Now we would be sketching a rectangle on this particular front face that we projected. In order to get it done, go to sketch, rectangle, 2-point rectangle. So we will be sketching a rectangle somewhere around here. Yeah, anywhere. Click anywhere and then click the dimensions to be 55mm wide and 7mm high. So this should be 7mm and the width should be 55mm. Then click OK. So we have the rectangle done here. Next thing we would be doing is changing the location or the place where we need this particular rectangle. In order to get it done, we will have to go to the coincident on the sketch palette over here. Go to coincident, click on this and then choose the bottom line of the rectangle and this point over here. So the rectangle moves onto the point, and once that's done, click on the collinear over here and then click on this line which is on the right side along with the center line. So the rectangle is actually moved onto the center line and this point at the same time. Once that's done, we will be going to sketch rectangular pattern. Now we will have to have this rectangle in a pattern that's basically multiplied into how much of numbers we need. In order to get it done, we will have to choose the objects to be the 4 lines of the rectangle, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, so we have the 4 sides of the rectangle chosen, and then change the distance type to be spacing, and then let it be 3, let it be 0. One direction quantity should be 8, and the distance should be 11mm. So once we have everything as mentioned over here, click on OK. So we have the rectangles multiplied like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rectangles over here. Now go to sketch, rectangle, 2-point rectangle. Next is to actually create one more rectangle right above the last one. So in order to get it done, let's click it somewhere around here. Yeah, and then the height of the rectangle should be 6 millimeter. The width should be 55 millimeter. Yeah, so we have the rectangle done. The height is 6, the width is 55. But then make sure that the distance over here between the two rectangles should be 4 millimeter. So to change it, we'll click on this point, right click, sketch dimension, choose this point, add it to be 4 millimeter. So the rectangle moves in a way that it's at a distance of 4 millimeter. Once that's done, we'll be extruding the inside rectangles. So press escape on the keyboard first, go to create, extrude. Once the extrude option is selected, you get the extrude box over here. Now choose the profile to be the inside rectangles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are a total of 9 parts of the rectangle. And then start should be profile plane, direction should be one side, extent should be distance should be minus 41 millimeter, and the operation should be cut. That's because it's going on the back side. When we put minus 41, it goes on the opposite direction, and then click OK. So if you look from the front face now, it's actually a bit inside, so that's done. Next we will extrude onto the sides as well. So to get it started, let's right click on the sketch over here, edit sketch, and then we'll choose the outside part of the rectangle. So in order to get it started, let's go to create, extrude, and choose the outside part of the rectangle. We'll have a total of 9 profiles selected, and for the distance, let's type minus 52. So it gets cut towards the back, and then click OK. Or let's put it as minus 51. I think that's better. So let's put minus 51 and then click OK. So we have it extruded onto the back. And so once we are done with the extrusion, next we would like to extrude these features onto the other side as well. In order to get it done, let's go to create, mirror, and then pattern type, choose it as features. For the objects, choose this extrude 1 and 2. There are 2 extrude options over here. And then for the mirror plane, choose the XY plane, this one over here, and then click OK. So once that's done, you have your design as such. By now we are done with the section 4 of your book.